Thank you for joining me on this Monday, whether it's early in the morning or whether it's the afternoon or maybe before you're going to bed, that you might be able to share this time with me. This past week, one of the devotions from the Lenten devotionals stood out, one that maybe I identified with more than the others, and I want to share that with you. It's from John chapter 2, verses 13 through 16. It was nearly time for the Jewish Passover, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He found in the temple there were selling cattle, sheep, and doves, as well as those involved in exchanging currency sitting there. He made a whip from ropes and chased them all out of the temple, including the cattle and the sheep. He scattered the coins and overturned the tables of those who exchanged currency. He said so to the dove sellers and owners, "Get these things out of here. Don't make my Father's house a place of business." The writer shared that Jesus got angry. And I guess because Jesus was portrayed as being so human, and that we could identify. I know when I get angry, I know that sometimes I will either withdraw and just stir over it, or that I'll withdraw and think through it and sometimes hold grudges. Or sometimes, yes, I'll shout out loud in that moment of anger. It made me identify that Jesus was walking alongside and being human as well as going on the journey to be divine. But there was also a message that was the emotional identification. But he was talking about God's worship house, God's sacred ground, that we honor it and that we make sure that we don't make it a business. And that's so true about churches and about gathering places. We think, yes, there are things. There's a word called administration, and in the middle of it is ministry or minister. And yes, we need to be faithful to the business of the church, but not to make money, but to make sure that money that is given, that it is given in God's name, and missions is done in God's name. Not the selling of doves or cattle, that those that were in the courtyard that day, outside and in the worship house of God. I think about how sacred it is. I know as a child, my mother always made sure that we had gloves on, or even that when we touched certain things, I know when we were cleaning silver as a young girl, that we had to wear gloves and then scrub it off, or that the chalices that we had for communion. All those things that were sacred, we made sure that we took care of it and that we honored it. I look at our house today, God's worship house at Plantation United Methodist, the beautiful stained glass windows, the altar, the lighting. It is holy ground, and how we can honor that. I hope that when you walk into the sanctuary or any other part of the church, that we honor it, whether it is having dinner in the fellowship hall or a Sunday school class. It is all the sacredness of God's house. And that, yes, that we might be identified with the feelings and emotions that Jesus had, but also honoring the sacred ground of a worship place to worship. I know